It wasn't until the nature documentary came on in the Commons area that Christopher Paris remembered how it was he'd come to be admitted to the mental hospital. And upon his remembering, he yearned for one thing, and one thing only: to die. He'd been guided into a plasticky recliner, one of an identical dozen which hundreds of schizophrenics and wrist-cutters had likely pissed in over the years, under the pretense of a social hour. The patient rooms along the ward had been emptied into the bright commons, their shambling contents made to gather student-like before a single television. The nurse had mentioned something about group activities and opening up while ferrying him into the hall by the arm, but her condescending tone had largely failed to punch through the sedatives. A chipper man in black scrubs, an orderly, put the day's show up to a vote. "What'll it be, ladies and gentlemen?" The ladies and gentlemen were slack-jawed, most drugged out of their minds, and could articulate no preference. A teen with tangled black hair young enough to be Christopher's daughter picked relentlessly at the bandage on her inner arm, till a nurse stopped by and sweetly separated her fingertips from the bunched gauze. In one corner, an Indian man stamped his slippered foot upon the floor, as if tracing the path of an invisible cockroach. 3 stomps later, he lowered his head and muttered to himself in Hindi till his white gown was damp with slobber. The orderly began channel surfing. At-home shopping programs, daytime talk shows and commercials flitted across the screen for seconds at a time, and the rootless minds of the zombified audience members clung to them, Christopher's included. From one tap of the remote to the next, all he knew was courtroom drama. His entire world became designer handbags for only 3 easy payments of $39.99. Seeking something inoffensive, the orderly finally settled upon what looked to be a nature documentary. A pride of lions was shown wandering the savannah, their powerful bodies cutting trails through the yellowed grasses. One of the nurses, fancying herself a maternal figure in this hell of sterile walls and dry, dusty air, knelt momentarily beside one of her patients to take in the scene. "Aren't they majestic, Avery?" she cooed at a young man whose eyes never closed, and whose wrists were bruised where bedside restraints had earlier dug into his flesh. Christopher sagged in the recliner, his clammy skin sticking to the rubbery upholstery. For all he knew, he was himself a dweller in the savannah, one of the birds circling overhead, one of the lions stalking its prey. His head was filled with smoke, a smoke that no thoughts could penetrate. Spectating was his only function. At some point in the program, however, something interesting happened. The camera fell square upon the king of the jungle,